If you're a business owner, you know that off-the-shelf software never truly fits. You're either paying for overpriced enterprise software that never truly does the job, or you have some Frankenstein setup with spreadsheets and manual workarounds. For years, custom software was the answer, but it meant big offshore development teams which were expensive and time-consuming. It worked, but it wasn't practical for most businesses. But today, that's changed. AI and visual development tools have made building custom software faster and more cost-effective than ever. But here's the thing, just because you can now build custom software doesn't mean you should jump straight into building. I've been building custom software for businesses for many years now, and over time I've seen businesses make the same mistakes over and over and over when they first start down this path. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through those mistakes so you can avoid them. Now, the first mistake I see businesses get caught up in over and over is the hype cycle. You hear about AI agents or blockchain or whatever the latest trend is, and you instantly think, well, let's implement it. Now, don't get me wrong, AI can be incredibly valuable, but it's best suited for things that your internal team interacts with, or things that are automated in the background that nobody sees. Where businesses go wrong is they try forcing AI into a customer experience where it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense for over 90% of traditional businesses. A perfect example of this is AI booking agents. Businesses now hear about AI booking agents and they think, wow, we need a booking agent to handle all of our bookings. But then you look at the bulk of their customers, and most of them are over 50 years of age, they enjoy calling up to book, or they just like a simple online form with a few options and where they book a time. An AI conversation to that customer base feels weird and over-engineered. They don't want to chat to a bot. They want to see some available times where they can select one, or better yet, they want to chat to a real person who will book for them. So what's the right approach? Well, we recently built one of these AI booking agents for a business, but the key difference is the AI wasn't talking to the customer directly. The staff member was talking to the customer over the phone, just like always, but the staff member was the one using the AI agent in the background. While they're on the phone, the AI is in the background, looking at availability and figuring out what time slots to suggest. And the staff member sees all this and can suggest those time options in real time. To the customer, nothing's changed. They're still getting the same personal phone interaction they're used to, with no idea that AI is involved whatsoever. But for the business, what used to take 2 to 3 minutes in checking availability and everything that goes with it, now was taking 10 to 20 seconds. The booking was now faster and usually more accurate, and the customer experience had improved because there was less of a hold time, and to them, they still had the same personal phone interaction. And that's the key difference. The AI made the business more efficient without impacting the customer experience. Just because you can build something with the hottest and latest tech doesn't mean you should. The second mistake is trying to do too much at once. The classic example of this is a business decides they want to replace their entire core business software. So their CRM, the project management, the whole shebang, they want to replace everything with a new internal platform. Now, if you're working with someone who's built software before, there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually usually more efficient to do it this way. You can optimize your systems as quickly as possible. However, if you're the one building this and it's your first time building something of this scale, then you'll probably very quickly find yourself buried in complexity. You'll realize there's edge cases you didn't initially cater for. There'll be integrations that seemed simple at the start, but once you get into implementing them, it unravels a web of problems. All the things that seem simple will just turn into an absolute nightmare, and you'll waste months of time and resources with nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, if you had started small and done one thing, like automating a follow-up for unpaid invoices, you'd have a quick win under your belt, and you'd have learned what building something for your business looks like, and have something that you can now build on top of. If you're starting out with custom software and you're the one building it and this is your first time building something like this, then start with the smallest, most painful thing in your business. Not the biggest, most complex thing. Pick one workflow that wastes the most amount of time, build something that fixes that one thing, get it working, learn from it, and then move on to the next thing. Now, the third mistake is jumping straight into building without understanding to a T the processes of your business, or worse yet, automating a process that shouldn't even exist. And I'll give you 2 prime examples of how this usually plays out. So the first scenario, you decide to build a custom task management software with all the bells and whistles. Tasks, assignments, due dates, all the fancy stuff. But then a month later, when you actually get to testing it, you realize it doesn't fit your team's processes whatsoever because you never took the step at the start to sit down and document those processes. You assumed you knew the complete flow of your business, but when you actually sit down with all your team members, you realize that there's always some kind of edge cases that you didn't initially cater for, and there's always some scenarios that one specific team member knows about and no one else does. Now, the second scenario, say your business has some 12-step approval process for expenses. Every expense needs to go through this process before it's approved. So you think, wow, I'll build something that automates this entire process. Fantastic, that terrible process is now automated. It's slightly faster, but it's still terrible. The real problem wasn't that the process was manual, it's that the process itself was broken, and that 12-step approval process probably should have been condensed to like 3 steps. So here's what you need to do before you build anything. First, document how things actually work today. Not how you think they work, not how the SOPs say they should work. Sit down with team members and figure out their exact step-by-step process. And then second, ask if the process should even exist, or if it should exist differently. You need to fix the process first. Then, once you have a process that you know is optimal, you can build software to support it. If you build software based on assumptions, then you'll just end up building something that nobody will use, or worse yet, you'll end up building something that will even further lock you into your bad processes. Now the fourth one, and this is the one that always catches people off guard the first time they do anything like this, and that's leaving data migrations as an afterthought. You're building a new tool and you're focused on all the fancy cool stuff like the UI and the features and all the rest of it, and then it gets the launch and you realize, well, we need all the old data from the tool we're using for this to be of any use. And that's when the nightmare starts. Your data is scattered across different systems. You've got something in Salesforce, something in Airtable, something in some random spreadsheets, and all these different systems handle exports differently. And not only that, but the data structures of all these different systems doesn't match the data structure of your new system. Your old CRM had clients, but your new tool has companies and contacts. None of the data maps. You go into the old data sources, you realize there's a bunch of duplicates. The formatting is incorrect. There's a bunch of fields that you don't even know if anyone uses. And then the worst part, without that historic data, no one's going to use the platform. Your team needs all the past client interactions, the past orders, historical data. And without that, they won't trust or use the new platform. You want to find these problems early. So plan data migration from day one. Do not leave it to the end. The fifth and final mistake that I see happen time and time again, because there's usually a techie person in the business leading the push for this new software, is they build something that nobody wants to use. You build an amazing custom dashboard with all the metrics you needed. It's got complex queries, date ranges, everything you wanted. But it requires your team to understand how the filters work, how to interpret the data, how to construct queries, and half your team still just ends up using Excel because the new tool is too complicated for them. One of the reasons you probably want to build something custom is because you know these enterprise tools are so complex that you have to look at training manuals to even use them. So the last thing you want is your custom software to be that complex. You need to match the tool's complexity to your team's technical comfort level. If your team isn't technical, for the love of God, don't build something built for developers. Start with something dead simple, get them using it, build confidence, and then over time you can add more complex features if they need them. So those are the 5 mistakes I see businesses make time and time again when they get into the world of building custom internal software. If you've never built software before, then seeing all this AI coding stuff on social media might make it seem flashy and sexy and that it can be done in a weekend. But if the core of your business relies on these tools, then they need to operate efficiently and securely. And building software that the core of your business runs on is no small task. So avoid these 5 mistakes and you'll build something your team actually wants to use. Ignore them and you'll run the risk of building something that just sits unused while your team goes back to spreadsheets. The key is to be thoughtful and strategic. Custom software is extremely powerful, but only if you build the right thing in the right way. So now that you know the mistakes to avoid, the likely next question is, well, what do I build? In the next video, I'm going to show you the framework that I use to evaluate what's worth building. It's the same framework that I use with clients who come to me wanting to build everything and need help figuring out what matters the most. That video will be on screen now if it's already out. If not, subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.